It's interesting that under all of this pressure and all of this hostility and in this hostile environment, Peter and John preached the gospel. Oh, they preached the gospel. They preached the gospel. You know, I've been studying religion, and I've been studying Christianity, and it's interesting that the enemy in this hour in the 21st century has said, I've got to come up with a new strategy to fight Christians and to kind of, as it were, dismantle the power of the church. And what he does is that he infiltrates the church. He does not set up he does not go across the street and set up an anti-church. He sets up a church. And he sets up a philosophy, a church based on the philosophy of unaccountability, unfaithfulness, uncommitment, anything that requires any level of discipline. Watch what the enemy is doing in this hour. He is setting up religious centers that don't require anything. And people are gathering. I think I'd get much help there, but people are gathering to hear things that tickle their ear, massage their ego, and stroke their intellect. They are gathering to hear stuff that is more philosophical than theological. They are gathering to hear messages that speak to their emotions and their flesh and the opinions of people as opposed to the gospel. But let me just take a check in here for all of you, and it may not be all of you, but for all of you that will admit to this, you only got saved because the gospel pricked you. It wasn't Norman Vincent Peale. Come on, talk to me. It wasn't somebody's philosophy. It was not somebody reading out of the Reader's Digest. It wasn't somebody giving you Psychology Today. Come on. It wasn't any of those things. It was the pure, unadulterated gospel. My brothers and sisters, if we would get back to preaching and teaching the gospel, we would see the results of the power of the gospel. Our messages are way too complicated. Our messages have much too fluff in it. Y'all ain't gonna like this. I said, yeah, I'm gonna say it from the preacher's position, the pastor's position. Our messages have much too fat on it. And y'all know, y'all steak eaters, you know what I'm talking about when I say this, that there is a value in the benefit of having the fat on it. That marbleizing adds to the flavor. When I want a ribeye and I get to choose it, I look at how much, because I know it's going to add to the taste. And if you're not careful, the enemy will have you eating a whole lot of fatty stuff. But can I tell you what else has a whole lot of taste? When you have the bone in. I used to eat ribeyes boneless, but I discovered that there is a benefit of a bone in. Because the meat that's connected to the bone is drawing a whole nother level of seasoning and nutrients and flavor on a hill far away. If we would preach the gospel, we wouldn't have to worry about putting gravy on it. Because if you cook the meat right, the meat makes its own. I need some cooks to talk to me. You ain't got to do all this extra stuff when you just preach the gospel, because the gospel works by itself. Now, what is the gospel, Pastor? What is the gospel? Well, let me just put it like this. It is the life. It is the death. It is the burial. It is the resurrection. It is the ascension and the imminent return of Jesus Christ. All that other stuff is just stuff we put in it. But a songwriter picked up this pen and said, I'm going to write me a true gospel song. He said, living, he loved me. Dying, he saved me. Buried, he carried mine. Yes, Lord. Sins far away. Rising, he justified. Freed me forever. And one day, he's coming back 5 points to the gospel. Grace is the number, 5 is the number of grace. And the grace of God has appeared to all men. So, look at your neighbor and tell them the gospel works. Even under persecution, the gospel works. Even under persecution, the gospel works. Even under duress, the gospel works. Even when you ain't got no money, the gospel works. The gospel works if the lights go out. The gospel works if this mic don't work. Yes, Lord. The gospel works in air condition and it works in extreme heat. Come on, talk to me. The gospel works in Walmart parking lot. The gospel works on your job. The gospel works with a Hammond organ and without one. The gospel, I'm talking to somebody that needs to understand, the gospel works at your house. The gospel works in the street. The gospel works in the prison. The gospel works in the White House. And so we are commanded to preach the gospel because the gospel will work even under persecution. The Bible says that 5,000 were added to the church as a result of these 2 men who decided to preach the gospel. Whoa, God, I feel you, Lord. What would happen if we would create an agenda for the gospel? You know what's wrong with the church? You know what's wrong with this church? Some of y'all are only excited and engaged in your part of the church. And as long as it's your program, as long as you're in charge, as long as it's something that you have to do, then you are fully engaged. But in areas that speak to the benefit of the whole, you're not concerned about it. I'm amazed at how many people don't want to pray unless you are in charge of the prayer. I'm amazed at how many people will show up to your little group sessions but won't show up to Bible class. Y'all don't have to like this. It doesn't matter. I'm amazed at people that don't want to witness to other people about the good news of Jesus Christ. Let me help you with this. This is not a social club. This is not a Rotary club. This is not the Kiwanis. Help me here. This is not the Eastern Star nor the Masons. This is God's church. And he said, upon this rock, I'll build my church. And the gates of hell shall not prevail. And the gospel, amen, the church is based on and built on the foundations of the apostles and the prophets and Jesus Christ being the chief cornerstone.